this video we're going to look at how to create the navigation menu here in Bootstrap. Well, first of all, we know that this top row here is where the navigation menu is going to appear. So I need to click on that top row to make sure that it's selected, and just check down here that it is the 12 column div that we have got selected. Remember, it's 12 columns because it's going to take up the entire row, our navigation menu. Working over here on the Insert Panel window and under Bootstrap Components, I then need to come down to my navigation bar options that I've got for Bootstrap. And if I click on this little drop down arrow here, you can see that we've got a few different kinds of navigation menus that are available to us. Now, we wanted a navigation bar that was going to be fixed at the top of the page, so when you scrolled it always stayed in view at the top of the page. So we want to choose the option Navbar Fixed Top. And when you choose that option, it then asks, well, where do you want it to go in relation to this div that you've selected? Well, we want it to actually nest inside of that div. So that's a div that we created to hold the navigation menu, so the div needs to be nested inside of there. That's where the navigation menu needs to go. Now, by default, Dreamweaver creates a preset navigation menu for you, and let's just have a look at what it contains, this pre-built one that is made automatically by Dreamweaver. It contains a brand area, so that's where your company name could go, that's where the name of the website could go. At the moment it just says brand. We have actually two navigation menus on this one that Dreamweaver has pre-built for us. We have a navigation menu that is sitting here, so that's 3 buttons, and one of them is a drop-down menu. We have our second navigation menu over here on the right hand side of the navigation bar, and this contains 2 buttons. Again, one of those is a drop-down menu. And then in the middle we've got like a form area or search box for people to search through your website. So these are default features that are built into a navigation bar when you go to create one in Dreamweaver, and we need to change all of this so that it matches the design and layout that we want for our navigation menu. Now, one other thing as well that has happened here when we created this default navigation menu is that if I just save the page, so if I just go to File and Save, and then come down here and preview in Safari, what you'll see is that this navigation bar goes right across the page, but it goes right to the edges, so it goes all the way here. Now, in our design, here's our navigation menu, it goes right across the page, but it stops and is in line with the rest of the content on the page. So the buttons don't go right to the edge of the browser window, and the brand name doesn't go right to the edge of the browser window, but currently it does on the default one that is made within Dreamweaver, and we need to alter that. And to do that, we need to go into the code view to change a setting. So if I switch to code view here, our navigation bar has gone in, and we're looking for this div here, which has the class container fluid. Now, the container fluid means that the navigation menu is sitting inside a container, but that container will always stretch to the very edges of the browser window, and we don't want that. We want it to be restricted to the medium desktop size. So in this case, we need to take out this dash fluid and just leave it as container. So I've just deleted that a little bit, made sure that I leave container. When I go back here into Dreamweaver now, and then go and save the page again, and then preview in a browser, you'll see that the buttons don't go to the edge of the browser window. They are restricted within a container. So that's what we wanted to do there. So now we need to go on and start editing this navigation menu so it starts to look like this one. So let's go back to Dreamweaver. Okay, now some of the things that we need to do here is we need to identify these menus. So I want a menu which is over on the right hand side, so I'm going to leave this one, but I don't want this menu. I only want one navigation menu. Here I've got a navigation menu, so what I'm going to do is just click on one of the buttons, and then down in my tags sort of inspector down here, I'm going to find where that navigation menu is located. Now, if you know a little bit about HTML code, you'll know that navigation menus are created using unordered lists, which have this tag, the UL tag. So if I select that, it selects all 3 buttons that are inside that navigation menu. And if I come over to the DOM section over here, you can see it's selected the UL tag. if I just close that up, what you'll see is that within our div for our navigation menu, you'll see that we have an unordered list, that's the first navigation menu. We have a form, that's this section here, and then we have another navigation menu or unordered list, which is this section here. I don't require this unordered list, so now that I've identified it and selected it, I'm just going to right mouse click and choose delete, and that menu disappears. I don't want the form either because it's not part of our structure. So again, I've identified the form here. I'm going to right mouse click and say that I want to delete that as well. So now this is starting to look a little bit like the navigation menu that we want. In other words, we've got the brand name over on the side here, and then we've got a couple of buttons sitting in a menu over on the right hand side of the page. I just need to add more buttons here, and I need to get rid of this drop down menu. So if I come over here to the DOM structure, I can just click on the UL tag and it will open up that navigation menu, and you'll see that there are two list items, and that's the ally tags. So the UL tag represents the whole of the navigation menu. In other words, it represents all of the buttons. So if you had 4 buttons in here, that's what the UL tag is saying. Each button is then represented by an ally tag. So currently we have only 2, link and drop down, and that's represented by these 2 ally tags here. Well, we know that this one is the drop down because it says that it has a drop down class applied to it. I don't need a drop down menu in my navigation bar, so I'm going to right mouse click on that and choose delete. Now I only have 1 button left, but I know that my navigation bar needs 5 buttons. So I'm going to use this button that is here, and I'm going to duplicate it to make 4 other buttons. So just going to right mouse click and say duplicate, right mouse click and duplicate, and you can see it's making the buttons up here. Right mouse click and duplicate, and then we need 1 more, and there we go. We now have 5 buttons that are part of our navigation menu. So now we just need to go in and alter what these buttons actually say and what our brand says, and you simply do that by just double clicking on them. So when you double click on it, the layout all goes a little bit weird. You need to not worry about that, but the key thing is when you see an orange box, it means that you're in the text editing mode and you're ready to change the text that we have inside of here. So I know that this button here should be home, and I'm going to highlight that as well. And when I highlight it, it comes up with a few options like what the hyperlink is going to be. Well, I know that the hyperlink here is going to be index.html because that is what my home page is called. It's known as index.html. So that's that one done. I then need to click on the second one, and what I need to do is just remind myself of what the buttons are called. So I've got rides, hotels, travel and contact. So the next one is going to be rides, so I'm just going to double click. Again, ignore the way that the structure goes, it goes a little bit weird. Okay, what you mustn't do is you mustn't delete everything because you end up deleting a tag. So you need to just highlight it and then type what you want. So we want this as rides. I'm going to highlight that text to get the link come up, and I know that that wants to go to a page eventually called rides.html. So you can hyperlink to pages that you haven't yet made because you know what you're going to call them. So when I come to build the rides page, as long as I call it rides.html, this link will automatically go to it. I'm just going to click off anywhere, and I think we then had hotels, travel and contact. So let's get those done. So again, just double click, hotels, make sure not a capital H, and then that will be hotels.html. That's the next one, which was going to be travel. Let's highlight that, and that will go to travel.html. And then finally the last one, again just double clicking to get into this orange box, will be contact. And again, if we highlight that, that will go to contact.html. Okay, you could browse for the pages if you've made them, but we haven't made them, we're just adding them in now. And that's my navigation menu made there. I just need to come over here and change the brand. So this was, if I just double click again, it goes into my text editing mode. I see the orange box. I'm just going to highlight that. You can have that as a hyperlink as well. This is going to go to Disney. I'm going to have a dash Orlando dash Florida is what I decided to have. I don't want that to actually link anywhere, so I'm just going to take out the little hashtag, which means that it won't be a link anymore. Okay, and in goes our navigation menu. We'll just quickly save that page. So if we just go to save, and then let's have a little preview in Safari. And you can see now that we've got our buttons here. They're all hyperlinked. They will go to the pages when we get to make them, and we've got up here our brand as well. It doesn't quite look like this navigation menu at the moment. In the next video we'll have a look at how we can add in these little icons known as fav icons, and then in later videos you'll see how you can customize it to be the color that you want it to be, to have the rollover effects that you want it to have, and how you can position the brand name as well. So at the moment, that's a quick way of creating your navigation menu here in Dreamweaver.